Another episode.
I know. Exciting one as well, right?
It's going to be good.
I think so. I think so. So today I wanted to talk about something that takes up to sometimes 99% of our time.
Let me guess.
Yeah, I know, right? Something that arrives usually impromptu.
Yeah.
Is it the right word?
It's the nice word. Let's go with the nice one.
But it's also interestingly something really, really important because this is the client-facing document that can really help us win work. And today we're talking about proposals.
Proposals.
Whoop, whoop.
My favorite thing to design and like the worst thing to actually chase people after.
I know that. I know you're a proposal expert, and this is why I wanted to talk to you about it. Because I find that every time we are asked to prepare a document, well, we tend to forget that the ultimate client is the client of the firm.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So we receive instructions from partners, from senior associates, from other people at the firm, and we immediately jump into preparing those.
Yeah.
And the reason why this is so important is because literally every time I go to a BD and marketing event, there's always a conversation about how we make this process better.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I find that we have a big role to play in it. Out of all of the activities that we are involved with, I find that this one, because it's so close to the income stream,
yes,
it helps converting prospects into clients. It helps growing relationships with clients. It really helps, the firm make money and pay the bills, etc.
Pay us.
Exactly. So it's a very, very important thing. And so I'm thinking, right, this is probably the number one thing that we need to get right as BD and marketing people. So I wanted to discuss a little bit about how we can make an impact in the way we prepare proposals. And to make it a little bit fun, I have prepared some quotes from clients, feedback they have given me. So whether recently, as I was preparing for this session, or throughout my career.
Okay.
And I thought maybe we could discuss those together.
Let's go.
Yeah? Great. All right.
Good.
Cool. So I am gonna start with one that I found absolutely harshed.
Oh.
And listen to this. It felt like a generic template.
Oof.
Nothing in it showed that they had really understood our business or the challenges we're facing. So this is obviously a feedback that I received after a law firm had sent a proposal and they had, surprisingly, they did not win that piece of work.
Yeah.
But interesting, right? So there's a big question around templates and how convenient they can be.
Yes.
But also us as professionals, how do we make sure that although we are using templates and they're very helpful, how do we make sure that clients still feel special and understood?
I think the process is not the problem. I think we want to fix the process because it seems like the one thing that you can fix quickly and then everything will work, if we just change everything up. But I think it's also something about when you get something in, that pause between saying, okay, should we actually go for this work? That go, no go process, that's a process we can look at. And that should start with the lawyer. But I think also with us, we should push back a little and say, maybe we can't tailor this specifically to this client because we don't have the work, we don't have the right team, we haven't thought about this sort of strategy going forward, especially for this client. I think it's something that we need to pause as well and say, okay, have we thought about the client strategy? Have we thought a lot about this work? Have we done this work in this way before? Because putting out just, a proposal that feels like a credential statement. I mean, we've spoken about the difference between that before. I think we all know the difference. But putting a proposal forward that shows that you thought about the client and their strategy going forward and whether or not you can deliver good quality work, that shows up in your proposal and it shows up in the writing, the stuff that you put into the proposal. If you're just putting in boilerplate stuff, eek.
Yeah, not going to make the cut.
Eek.
Yeah, it's really interesting because that go, no go process that you mentioned and the willingness sometimes of lawyers and other professionals to pitch for everything.
Yeah.
That FOMO, right?
Yes.
We have mentioned this before.
We have.
Right? But I find that, okay, sometimes we have the go, no go process in place and we decide to go for it. And listen, I have got this other quote here.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to find it. Sorry. It was a law firm, a client that explained that basically, there we go. It was 25 pages long and I just didn't have time to read it all. We had to scroll through 10 pages before we got the actual proposal. Another firm sent us 2-page summary that addressed our needs directly. It was so much easier to digest.
I feel like that client and I had a secret meeting. Because I've said it a billion times, we need shorter proposals.
Yeah.
Put everything in the exec sum. Put it right there, because that's what the client needs to know. If I want to go through a proposal further, I should have all the information. And then I'm like, it's a teaser, it's a trailer. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I need to learn more. Why do they think that they should charge this price? Why do they think they're the best to give me this advice? So you need to, it's like a hook. I mean, it's marketing.
Yeah.
You know, it's where the intersection comes in with what we do.
Yeah.
Because you need to put these things in a way that the client is like, yes, this is the one. Already, just based off the executive summary, they've spoken to me. They've told me what they can do. They've told me who's on the team, who's going to be doing the work, and they've told me how much. That's all a client wants to know.
Yeah, that's. I think you have a really good point here. So it's really. So the purpose of the proposals, of course, we're going to talk about the approach, the scope of work, the pricing, but it's also to make sure that the client understands he's being understood.
Yeah.
They're being understood as a company, and we understand their objectives, we understand their challenges, we understand their ambition. So that's really, really important. And quite interestingly, so I've been many times in situations where, okay, we agree that we can do the work as a firm.
Yes.
And we're going to prepare a proposal. And then suddenly the partner in charge is like, oh yes, can you also add all the other capabilities of the firm?
Yeah.
So this is a construction project, but suddenly we're talking about IP. And this is exactly what clients mean when they say it was 25 pages long, and they just don't understand the relevance.
Put that in an appendix.
Right?
If you really want to add it on, send it separately to your proposal.
Yeah.
It's a nice to have. Therefore, it shouldn't be in the proposal.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how have you had those conversations with partners when you have to tell them like, listen, this is not gonna work?
Yeah. Look, sometimes it goes super well, but other times it's like, I'm not fighting this battle today. But I think that comes from having the actual conversation outside of doing a proposal, because in that process, everybody's stressed. We're trying to meet a deadline. We're trying to get feedback in. There's everybody trying to do their job in the most pressured of situations. So if we can have these conversations outside of doing a proposal, outside of having an active deadline, it makes things so much easier. So calling a meeting, sending an email, I don't know, I think calling a meeting is a lot better, because sometimes these emails around processes just, they get put into file X, and it's easier to have that chat about maybe we should cut down the amount of deals that we put in. Maybe we should think about talking about our client strategies in meetings together with BD, again, having the seat at the table, partners talking to us about what their clients need, what the strategy is, what our strategy for the client is, so that we're all on the same page, so that writing these things is a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we do the first draft at the end of the day. We need to know what the strategy is for the client. We need to know what the lawyers think about working with the client, so that we know how to frame things, how to position the firm, how to position the teams that we're putting forward. And then we'll have shorter documents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we already know.
Yeah. It's interesting. So last night I was actually having a dinner with a group general counsel of a very large hospitality group.
Yeah.
They are based in Australia, in Asia, here in the UAE, across Europe, in the Americas, etc. And it's a very high-end hospitality group. And speaking to their group general counsel, who's a former lawyer, private practice lawyer.
Okay.
She was telling me, well, I just don't understand why when I ask for a proposal, it's just too long. Usually, there is an urgency when I reach out to lawyers.
Yes.
And they send me proposals that are extremely long when it could have been a 2-page document. Because usually, when I go to those firms, I know they can do the work.
Exactly.
I already know they can do it. So what is relevant for me is to see that maybe they have worked on a similar project. I want to see that, of course, the team is going to be available.
Yes.
I want to understand who they are. I want to also understand that they're motivated by, completing the work for my company. So really interesting.
But that's so true, because approaching a client that you've had for years, like they're brand new, is basically showing them like, I don't know you really.
Yes.
That's how it feels.
Yeah.
If we came into this room right now and we greeted each other like we'd never met before, you'd honestly feel like, hold on, Nasya, we work together every day. What is happening right now?
Why?
You're
Why
confused,
are we doing this?
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the same approach that you should have when you're giving something to your client. They're people too. The person that's reading it is a person.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and we don't think about it, there's emotions that come into this. Because if I'm reading something that feels flat, I feel like I might not connect with the person that's going to be doing the work that I'm going to be speaking to all of the time.
Yeah.
It's a different perspective, but I think it's essential because it takes this corporateness out of it. And it reminds people that we're working for people, we're people working for people. And that approach is already 10 times more personal. And how else are you going to get to thinking about the client if not thinking about them as another person?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It also feels like, well, if your client has an urgent request, the proposal you're going to send them is probably not the right medium for presenting your entire law firm capabilities.
Exactly. Respect their time. They're in a time crunch.
Maybe schedule a coffee catch-up.
Yes, exactly.
Something, a bit more.
But that's the thing as well. Like, proposals shouldn't be your only BD. You can't maintain a relationship over a couple of slides. That's not how it works.
This is a very fair point.
Yeah.
Very, very fair point. Yeah. So let me give you another quote that I have received. And I could write a book.
You should.
Like literally. And I think this is a little bit connected to the templates and what we mentioned before. They were so focused on telling us how good they are, they forgot to address what we actually need.
Yes.
That's harsh.
That is harsh, but true. Because telling them that you're the best, I think they already know that by coming to you. It's a little bit stating the obvious. That why else would I come to you if you weren't the best? Yeah. Talk to me about why that matters. How does that impact what I need right now in this moment? Yeah. So you're band 1 in whatever practice area this is. What does that mean for me as a client? You won Firm of the Year. How does that help me? What was taken into account in order for you to win that? Because now it's relevant. Speak about the deal that won you Deal of the Year. If it's relevant in this case. If it's not relevant, leave it out.
Yeah.
We don't need to know about all of your awards. We can go to your website for that. And it should be on your website. Please put it on your website. But like, seriously, if it's not relevant directly to what the client is talking about, what they need from you, why put it in? Because now it is a self-centered document. Now it's just like, I'm just bragging. It's all about me. it's supposed to be about the client.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
And I have to say that sometimes we fall into that trap, right?
Yeah.
Because we have those boilerplates. We have those templates that we very easily use. And you know how it is. The turnaround time for putting together this proposal is so short. You just need to get a document ready. So you don't necessarily think about going through the document and really making sure that it's client-centric. So yeah, I think, and sometimes it just takes, a few tweaks to make the client feel better. So it's totally worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could talk about this for ages and ages, and I can't believe that this time has gone so fast. But what would you say is the number one thing that's improved proposals from the beginning of your career to when you left law firms?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a really good one. And actually, it's touching on something that I really, really enjoy talking about, which is credentials.
Okay.
And so I'm saying that I'm enjoying talking about it because I think that now I am actually pretty good at being able to write work experiences, and I see the directory submission preparation and all that as very strategic. And I received this comment once from a client who said there was a list of deals but no context. I couldn't tell if they were relevant or recent.
There we go.
And this typically. So this is a comment that I received quite some time ago. And I remember the process at that firm at the time. We didn't have a credential database system, very sophisticated system. We basically had everything on a spreadsheet, and some teams even had their credential lists on Word documents. It happens, right? We're not here to judge or anything, it happens. But it meant that the quality of the information was not consistent.
Yeah.
And we were doing vast copying and pasting jobs. And you know how it works. So you have the experience with the name of the client, the deal value, etc. on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Copy paste. The partner says, let's anonymize it. And then you anonymize it so much.
Now you have no idea what this is about.
And then you're being asked, so what is this about and how recent it is?
Exactly.
Well, I don't know because I don't know what we're talking about.
Where's the source? Exactly. And that is the problem.
Exactly.
That is the problem. And that's the problem with having templates being like your be all and end all.
Yeah.
Because if that's all that you're doing, if you're not thinking about it every single time, you'll fall into that trap, and you'll have what happened to me at my first firm. You'll have the typo that's from the source document in your final document because you just copied and pasted it.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's just what happens.
Yeah. So I'd say that this is the number one thing that I always look at, because I know clients are interested in what kind of work you've done before, etc. But rather than laundry list, I'd always say, okay, let's focus on, be concise, have 3 case studies perhaps.
Yes.
Something that is extremely relevant.
Yeah.
You can tell them that, if they want more information, you can also provide more information, but make it quite straight to the point.
Yeah.
So this is the number one thing. And the second thing was probably around teams. It's very important to introduce the whole team, what role they will be playing in the project, especially for larger projects.
Yes.
Right? We had a conversation with a group GC who's based in the UAE recently at one of our events.
Yep.
And he was basically saying, well, I know who the partners are, but I also know that the people who will be delivering the work to me will probably not be the partners at all times. So I need a phone number. I need to know who will be my contact at the firm.
Yeah.
I need to see whether it's going to be a great fit, him and I.
Yes.
I want to make sure that we can speak easily.
Yes.
That this guy is going to be approachable.
Exactly.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd say that those 2 areas, amongst others, of course, being focused and other things. So yeah, so I'd say that this is, what about you?
I'm going to say design first, but that isn't actually the most important. I mean, I love a pretty proposal, but I will agree with you. Case studies they're so powerful because it tells me what you did. It tells me that you thought about why it's important, but it also tells me how you worked on that matter. And that's more powerful than we worked for client X on the acquisition of the 50% of such and And I think that's the other thing. Whenever you write a sentence in a proposal, ask yourself, and what does it mean? And then, why does this matter to the client? And I think those are really essential in even making the proposal more personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So really, if we had to summarize what clients want, I'd say they want clarity in what you can offer them, who will be working on their matters.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about pricing today, but of course they want to talk, they want to see
pricing. How much is it going to cost?
Yeah. And I have to confess that I am actually saving this topic for our next session.
Please.
Because this is a very big topic and BDs are more and more involved in pricing.
That's brilliant.
So it's something that
we'll hold on to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So clarity, relevance, make sure that every single piece of information in your document is actually relevant to the client project. And transparency.
Transparency. Be honest if you're not sure that, okay, this part is not going to work for us, but we have local counsel that can do X, Y, Z. We know these people and we've partnered with them before, so we will bring them in. Be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest. You're not perfect. You're human. And the firm they've got specific abilities that they're really great at and some things that they're not great at. Bring in your friends. You've got friends in other law firms. Why not share it?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's different. It's new, but it's been done before.
Yeah.
It's done in other industries as well. I mean, I know, starting in engineering, you constantly are bringing in so-and-so who actually does this part of the work because we're a structural engineering firm and maybe these people are really amazing in road and transportation. So let's bring them in to do the work. Why not share it?
I like that.
Yeah. It's new perspective. Let's try it.
Collaborations inside the firm and outside. I love it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, that was great. We could do it for hours, honestly.
Great. All right. If you like this session, please do share it with other professionals who you think will benefit from the content that we share. Also, like our page, subscribe to our channel, and hopefully we'll see you soon.